Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. I appreciate that you've all come out on this rather uncomfortable evening. Okay, we're getting started now. It's going to be hard enough to hear, so please try to keep your discussions to a minimum, and we'll try to maximize the use of the microphones. Can't hear already? Okay. Can you hear now? Is that better? If not, we're going to have to turn off the fans. All right? I wrote it down. Actually, we said this was a meeting to talk about the country club, but it's a special budget meeting to get you to vote for air conditioning for this building. So, but seriously, I welcome you all to this evening's special Board of Selectmen meeting to hear about two private sector proposals for the country club of Woodbridge property. I see by this turnout that we are correct that there's great interest in this in the town. As residents of Woodbridge, we all know how fortunate we are to live in a town of extraordinary beauty, excellent schools, ample open space, dedicated town employees, first-rate fiscal stewardship, and so much more. Still, like all towns, we have our share of issues. I've already mentioned the air conditioning. One issue that receives and deserves a good deal of attention is the future of the town-owned Country Club of Woodbridge property. To recap very briefly, the town purchased the property in 2009 for $7 million in order, and this is a quote from the Board of Selectmen at the time, in order to prevent uncontrolled development that could produce a major strain on town services, schools, police, fire, etc. End of quote. In addition to the purchase price, the town has spent net approximately $2 million on the property, mostly for golf operations and clubhouse expenses. Since the time of purchase, residents have expressed varying views on the appropriate uses of the property. We have heard many of them at our Board of Selectmen meetings. I have listened very carefully to what all of you have said, as have others on the Board of Selectmen. It's my conclusion that Woodbridge residents are looking for several things: a financially viable plan, open space preservation, opportunities for seniors to downsize and stay in town, recreational opportunities, and preserving the character of our town. Tonight, you have the opportunity to tell us which of these or other goals are the ones that are most important to you. It is our responsibility as the Board of Selectmen to identify, if possible, a plan that maximizes these goals and, to the greatest extent possible, makes them complementary, not contradictory to each other. It is in this context that the Board of Selectmen has been discussing, reviewing, and analyzing options for the property. Again, I want to stress that it is the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen to identify a plan that we believe is in the best interest of the town as a whole. Once we do that, we would convene a special town meeting and, in all likelihood, a referendum for town residents to vote on the plan. It is also important to remember that to the extent any plan includes the sale of all or any portion of the property, the role of the Board of Selectmen is limited to convening the special town meeting and referendum. The Board of Selectmen does not have the authority to sell town-owned land. That decision is up to you. And that's why it's so important that you have all taken the time to be here tonight to hear about the proposals we have and to let us know what your priorities are. I also urge you to keep up to date by looking at the town website and signing up for our e-newsletter so that you are kept up to date when new information comes in or there are other events. I'm very pleased this evening that we have two proposals from the private sector that the Board of Selectmen has determined are worthy of your consideration. One is from Toll Brothers and the other is from Redan Reserve. The Board of Selectmen heard both of these proposals at the regular Board of Selectmen meeting earlier this month. The board was able to ask questions at that time. We also heard a third proposal at the meeting, but did not think it warranted further consideration. The proposals you will hear tonight are very different from each other. If you picked up the comparison sheet outside that was prepared by our finance director, you can see that the key components of each proposal are there and more easy for you to compare. Again, that comparison chart I think you'll find very helpful. If you don't have it tonight, it is on the website and I encourage you to take a look at it. This evening's format will be a presentation by Redan Reserve, followed by a presentation by Toll Brothers. After both proposals have been made, we will have questions from the Board of Selectmen, and after that, we will open it up to questions and comments from the audience. I know, and many of you know, that at past meetings, passions have run high on the topic of the Country Club of Woodbridge. I urge you all to listen respectfully and with an open mind to the presentations this evening. I will now turn it over to Roland Betts of Redan Reserve.
Okay, good evening. I hope everybody can hear me, and I'm really looking forward to telling you about the plan that we have presented to Ellen and to Woodbridge. I'm going to go backwards a little bit and give you a little of the history of what brought this about and tell you my relationship with the town. We thought, I think we developed an idea that's unique and compelling, and I thought would appeal to Woodbridge. And I called the First Selectmen's office in November and said I'd like a meeting. I took a few calls, and then finally I got Ellen on the phone and said, I want to come up, I have an idea for this property. And she said, what is it? And I said, I'm not going to tell you. You're just going to have to wait till I get there. It's a long story, it's a little complicated, but I think you'll like it. So we did, and we came up and met for an hour or so and laid the whole thing out. And Ellen told me afterwards, there was great speculation in the office as to what it was that we were going to propose. But the notion that we were going to propose a golf course for a golf course never occurred to anybody. And that's what we're proposing, but now I'm going to go back and tell you a little bit why. First of all, I went to Yale University. I've served Yale University in many, many capacities. I served on the board for 12 years, and I served as the senior fellow, which is the chairman of the board, for a period of 8 years. As senior fellow, one of the things I used to do is take the board to other universities for exchanges of ideas. And on one of those, and we went to Stanford, we went to Cambridge in England, we went to Duke, we went to MIT, we went to UVA. And on one of those trips, we went, as I said, we went down to Duke. And we got there late at night, and I had dinner and then went up and went to bed. When I got up in the morning, I parted the curtains, and there, I was in the Washington Duke Hotel. I'm sure many people have been there. And there, right in front of me, was this extraordinary, beautiful golf course. And my first thought was, why doesn't Yale have this? Why couldn't we do something like this? And the Washington Duke Hotel is very much a meeting hotel. There are a lot of conference facilities and so on. Something, by the way, that's lacking at Yale, and we have been talking about at the board. So I thought, this is an idea worth pursuing. How would Yale be able to come up with the building of a hotel on the golf course property, overlooking the golf course, and functioning in that way? Secondly, as a student here and as an avid golfer, I love the golf course. The golf course was designed by Charles Blair McDonald. It opened in 1926, so it's 90 years old today. The golf course was McDonald was considered the greatest golf course architect this country has ever produced, and he regarded the Yale Golf Course as his greatest course. And yet, if you know it and play it and are an aficionado, it's not in great shape. It's neglected. It has been modified. Holes have been moved. It's not in the condition that a course like this deserves to be in. So I've had that in the back of my mind for a long time. So I've been thinking about these things and thinking about ways to do this. I'd love to have Yale just step up and say, okay, we'll put up the money, we'll build a hotel, this is a cool idea, we'll do it. But it doesn't really work that way. Gifts for non-academic and non-financial aid issues are tougher to come by. So over time, I sort of developed the idea that, okay, we'll fix up the golf course, we'll build a hotel, we'll use it for the guests in the hotel and the Yale community will be able to play on the course, and we'll have an improved asset and a pretty good facility out there. The more I looked at it, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that once you add a hotel, and you have hotel guests plus the existing users of the Yale course, you're going to so burden the course that everybody's going to be disappointed. And what you really need is a second golf course. Well, Yale actually has sufficient land to build a second golf course, and McDonald originally drew 2 golf courses. The additional land is between the Merritt and the northern side, the western side of the Yale course. So I always thought that would be the locus of the second course. So about 2 or 3 years ago, I got in a conversation with Ted Snyder, who's the dean of the Yale School of Management. And we were talking about that. I had spoken at the School of Management annually to the full student body about other things. And Ted had kept saying to me, why don't you come up here and teach a course? Why don't you teach a semester? Why don't you teach a seminar? And we got talking about this idea and decided this would be a good topic for the teaching of a seminar. And to which Ted said, can I do it with you? I said, great. So in the spring of, I guess it was 15. In the spring of 15, I taught a course at SOM. And the idea was develop a second course, restore the first course, build a hotel. Study all the economics, figure out how to do it, figure out how to convey land from Yale to a new entity, and figure out a way to make this work. Everything went well in that course, and I have a lot of guest speakers, I have a lot of people who have built tremendous golf facilities around the United States. I had hotel operators, I had people managing courses. It's the business school class, so it's obviously that's impressive. But in the course of it, on a beautiful April day, we walked. What's that? Yeah, okay. I got this thing almost in my mouth. So on a beautiful April day, we walked the golf course, and then we walked the land that I'm describing where the second course would be. And the land, to me, was prohibitively difficult. Very, very rocky, very treed, huge elevation changes. It would require dynamite. The Yale course used a lot of dynamite. It would require dynamite. It would be a very expensive golf course to build, and it's a little too close to the Merritt. So I was kind of despairing about this when one of my students said, we should look into Woodbridge, because I'm pretty sure Woodbridge purchased a course that had gone into bankruptcy. And so we did, as a class, we researched it, and we spent time here, and we liked what we saw. And the idea we liked was using the land that is the Woodbridge course, and I mean all the land. I want to be clear about this. The tennis courts, the pool, the clubhouse, use all the land, bring in the best golf course architect that we can find to build an entirely new course which would be the second course for this facility we're doing over at Yale. The architect that we attracted was a guy named Gil Hans, who's absolutely at the top of the profession. He has designed the Olympic course in Rio and many other courses, and he is regarded as one of the top 3 architects in the world. So he got very interested. He's walked the course, he studied it, he's had topos, he started working on layouts and so on. So we think that he could do something quite spectacular out here, and he thinks so too. So a word or two about the golf industry, because it's related to this. You probably have read that there are too many golf courses in the United States, and that the industry is contracting. And if you've read that, that's correct. It is contracting. But you've got to look more closely at it to understand it better. Because while it's contracting in certain segments, particularly in the municipal courses and some of the country clubs, I don't have to tell you this, that's why we're here. While it's contracting in subsegments, in other segments, it's growing, and it's growing voraciously. And those segments are, there seems to be among young golfers, or golfers today, a tremendous interest in playing courses that are ranked. Golf Digest ranks courses, Golf Magazine ranks courses, and golfers like to be able to say, oh, I played the number 41 course in the world, I played the number 38 course in the United States. And however, almost all of those courses are private clubs, like Wingfoot or National or Shinnecock or Waltersville, where they're playing the PGA starting tomorrow. And the opportunity for the public to get on ranked courses is very slim. In fact, if you're here tonight and you want to play a ranked course, the nearest one is Bethpage Black on Long Island, where you have to sleep in your car to get on the tee. I'm not kidding. And the second closest one, public, is Pinehurst in North Carolina. At the same time, there have been a few golf course developments developed in the last few years that are wildly popular. Banded Dunes in Oregon, Cabot Links in Nova Scotia, Stream Song in Florida, and these are available to the public, and they are real throwback courses, walking courses, not cart courses, and they are extraordinarily popular. So that's the fundamental idea. It's not really complicated. The fundamental idea is to restore Yale to its original McDonald condition, to build a hotel of about 75 rooms, and that hotel, by the way, is going to be on the Yale side, but barely on the Yale side of Fountain. If you're going down Fountain Street and you go under the Merritt, you'll take an immediate right to go into the hotel property, which will sit on the 6th hole of the Yale course, if you're familiar with that. Attract a really good architect for the hotel, which we have done. Attract a really good architect for the golf course, which we have done. And put this whole sort of complicated puzzle together. And that's what we're in the middle of here, and that's what we're excited about. And so I'm sure you'd say, well, this sounds ridiculously difficult, and too many players, and too many participants, and too many possibilities for failure. But I don't think so. And my entire background, my career has been built doing entrepreneurial things. The most recent thing I did was to create the Chelsea Piers in New York. That was 20 years ago. We added another one in Stamford, Connecticut. I hope you've all been there. Prior to that, I was the principal owner of the Texas Rangers with President Bush. We built a stadium. We changed the fortunes of the team. And prior to that, for a long time, I was in the film business and had a company that produced and financed about 90 films. The most distinguished of which were Gandhi and The Killing Fields. So I've done things of this complexity, and I'm confident that I can pull this off. With Yale, there's a very important transaction to take place. That is, Yale has to agree to convey the property to a new entity. I'll tell you, Redan Reserve is an entity that we have just created. Redan is one of the McDonald used to name the types of holes that he had. Redan hole is a particular type of hole. At Yale, it's the 13th hole. So it's kind of like the name. But we have to create a company. We have to negotiate with Yale to convey the Yale property to this entity in exchange for consideration, with the understanding that we're entitled to build a golf course, improve the golf course, and entitled to build a hotel. We have to purchase this property from Woodbridge. We have to negotiate various agreements with the city of New Haven and with our various architects and put all the pieces together. But frankly, it's all coming extremely well. Yale has an agreement today on their desk laying out the full legal contract, laying out everything that's to happen. We've had a number of meetings with Yale. Because I served so long on the board and in a senior position, my relationships at Yale are really good. And people think this is a pretty cool idea. And they want to see it happen. So although it sounds complicated, and although there are a lot of moving pieces, and I'm sure your questions will elicit more about that, we're feeling very good about this and very good about the possibilities of bringing this to fruition. My sidekick on this is Ed Brocker, who was Yale 2001, and a fine golfer at Yale and a fine golfer today. And so he's going to walk you briefly through a PowerPoint presentation, and then we're going to open the floor and ask for your questions and your good counsel.
Thank you, Roland, and thank you all for being here this evening. It's exciting to see such a large crowd to hear about our plans, and we're extremely excited to be here to talk about them. And Roland laid out a lot of what we're here to discuss this evening, but I have some other points I'd like to make on this PowerPoint here, and I hope that everyone can hear me. And I apologize that I need to be up here with the computer. Part of our proposal to Woodbridge will be a new clicker for the PowerPoint, so we'll have that. It's not in the PowerPoint, but we'll put it in there. As we said, Redan Reserve, and this lays out our project plan, and really what we see is real tangible benefits for the Woodbridge community as a result of what we want to accomplish. So Roland laid out a lot of the background for the project, the inspiration for it, the Watch the Duke Hotel, and the idea that Yale can have something of this quality, to have this amazing amenity that can serve not just the Yale community, but the community at large. And in terms of the investigation, going through all the steps with the university, the school management seminar, where we had all these students helping us, and Roland and I, and just doing all the due diligence and making sure this was all going to work. And now we're at the stage where we're putting all these pieces together with Roland's experience, with my experience. I've been in the golf industry since I graduated from school. My current role is with the First Team Metropolitan New York, where we teach young people positive values through the game of golf, and it's something that I think that there's so many great things that golf can do for the young people in my program and for communities if they're developed in the right way, if there's respect for the environment, and we create a model that's sustainable, that we can really do something that's, in Ellen's opening comments, something extraordinarily beautiful to really respect what the character of Woodbridge is. So going further into the proposal, it's the major points. It's the Country Club of Woodbridge, transform this golf course, and having all the parking over on the Yale side of the site. You'll see on the next slide what the map will look like. It really lays this all out and gives a true picture of what it is we want to accomplish. It's the course at Yale, taking a course that is already regarded as one of the greatest in the world, and to make it something that we can really just take to that next level, and that people want to come from all over the country to play and to experience, and then to be able to do that, need a place for them to stay. So there's going to be this lodge space that again will be very sensitive to the environment, and I know that Roland and I wandered this road that would come into this golf course a couple of times when Ansonia becomes Fountain Street, right under the Wildercross Parkway. That it's this half-mile, beautiful, winding road that will go from there and go through the woods and arrive at this hotel that's going to be there overlooking this golf course in a place that is going to be open to everyone. It's not just going to be Yale Hotel. It's going to be a beautiful amenity that's going to create jobs, it's going to benefit the local economy, it's going to do all these things and just be something that we can all feel terrific about, and to have the Woodbridge course to become a destination in its own right and to be a great complementary course to what we're creating at Yale. So this gives us a sense of what the site plan looks like. There's a Yale property where you can see the area that Roland was talking about, where we got into this area where it was going to be, environmentally difficult, cutting down so many trees and doing all these things. It was just not feasible. And when we got out on that land, I remember being out there with Roland that day, and he just looked at me and said, "Edward, this isn't going to happen." So then we started talking about, what are the alternatives, and the students brought it up, and then we just saw this opportunity in Woodbridge where we can just do something that is a win for everybody involved. It's a win for our project, it's a win for the community, and it's a win for creating this great amenity where people can come from all over to enjoy it. So, and then on the other side, you see what you would do is you would come out, everyone would park at the lodge, the hotel site, drive back out, make the left, go underneath the parkway, and then make another left and basically enter the nearest point on Woodfield Road, somewhere around the area of the cell tower. So this will be, traffic is going to be reduced, we're going to have shuttle buses going back and forth, vans that are bringing people there. So we're going to really take all that very seriously in preventing having as little traffic as we possibly can and getting people on that central spot. As far as the proposal, the specifics of what we're offering, deed restriction. The course will remain open space in perpetuity. This is the most important part of our proposal. No matter what happens to Roland and myself, this is going to be open space. This property will not be developed. We're not going to go and spend all this money and develop this beautiful golf course and then turn around and want to put up homes on it. We need, as Roland said, all this property to create a world-class destination. The investment in the open space, $3.5 million cash, less the cost of environmental remediation. It would be the town's responsibility in any case, and we'll take care of all the clubhouse and all these areas. And I think, as I said in the last meeting I went to a couple weeks ago, this will provide resolution. This will provide a way for us to find something that is going to create something where there's no questions about what's going to happen. There's no uncertainty. There's going to be a world-class golf course on this property, and it's going to be a place where residents can go on the golf course. This is not going to be a members-only sign where you won't be able to walk your dog on the golf course. During the winter time, do some cross-country skiing. So this is going to be a place where we want people to be out there from the community, using the golf course, walking around, really enjoying this open space. And then we just need, as Roland said, this is all contingent on us getting the necessary approvals, for us getting the whole Yale piece of it to work. And as you heard from Roland's background and from mine, there's a great deal of confidence in what we can do at Yale. We have a great deal of credibility in what's going to happen here, and we know that this is going to be something truly spectacular that everyone's going to really love. And just as an extension of that are the benefits of the Woodbridge community. Again, no change in zoning. We're going to take the existing property and we're going to make it a golf course. And as Ellen said at the beginning of this, that's what was meant to happen at the beginning of this purchase. That's why the town voted for this, from what I've seen and what I've heard. So that's what we want to do. We want to honor that and respect that and do something that's really terrific. Secondly is enhancing this open space. We're going to spend $15 million on this property between the purchase and building this new golf course to do all these great things and to make it just this incredible location where people can really just love the outdoors and to have this space where there's no questions about its future. And then again, there's very little burden on the town. We're going to maintain the property. Even if there's this open space that's preserved, it's going to be the town's responsibility. Who's going to cut the grass? Who's going to be responsible for it? Who's going to insure it? There's all these questions that surround this property of what happens if it is, it sounds great to have, we have all this extra open space. That's still a responsibility of the town. So we're taking care of all of that. We're going to spend millions of dollars every year to keep it pristine and beautiful. So another very important point is that Gil Hansen, one of the reasons why he's at the forefront of his profession and one of the best golf architects, is that he respects the environment. He's a minimalist designer. He doesn't want to impose his will on the land. He wants to take the land and create something beautiful. And we're going to make sure that we respect that because we're creating our own ecosystem here. We don't want to disturb that, and we don't want to make something that's going to be toxic for the environment because we're going to be here too. We're going to be neighbors with all of you for the next 100 years. So we want to make sure that we do that and to preserve this property. So lastly is our commitment to Woodbridge. Is that the ownership, the management, the design team, we all know what we're doing and we have what it takes to get this project done. We're committed to doing it right and we will. Second is the preservation. Again, the guarantee this will always be open space and it's not going to include unwanted residential development. It's not going to do anything other than stay open space. And in fact, there's not even going to be a clubhouse on that side of the road. Everything's going to be on the Yale side of the road, and then so that we're going to use every inch of that for golf. And then lastly is a partnership. You know, obviously you all are here tonight because you care about your town and you care about what's going to happen. And we want to be here, and you know, I went to the town meeting 2 weeks ago. I've watched this on television. I've read all the RFPs. I've read articles, websites, all these things. And we want to listen, and we want to participate, and we want this to be a process that we can all feel included in. And we really want this to be an opportunity to do something wonderful for Yale, wonderful for Woodbridge, and we're just really excited to get going and appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.